We're going to try it one more time. Something clearly is going on with my internet. I'm not sure what it is. We'll just give it a minute and we'll see if it comes back together and works okay. This is very strange. Super unusual. So we'll just give it a pause for a minute. I was going to do a reading for pull for Lynn and for Jante. So I'm going to go ahead and start doing that. Pull out the cards for that. Oh, that's right. I was saying we'll just start this as the morning oasis, and what we did earlier, I'll just start over. So basically, tomorrow we've got the love panel with multiple psychics. We're going to be, there's 3 of us, or 4 of us, including myself, and that's at New Renaissance Bookstore from 6:30 to 8:30. And then there's the Intuitive Gallery. We're going to be at Body Quirks, which is a really cool kind of athletic space that uses these interesting machines. That's going to be from 6 to 10 on the 4th. And there's going to be 15 different readers there. There's even going to be some people set up with massage tables. There's going to be people set up for all kinds of different body work, energy work, intuitive work, reading work. Okay, so it looks like the connection might be more stable, so I'll just go ahead and keep going. Oh, and that's from 6 to 10 if I didn't say. The love panel, I think there's a small fee to come in. I don't think it's very much for the tickets. And then the Intuitive Gallery is free to come in, but each of us have our own rates. I charge $20 for a reading at these fairs. Normally my readings are $44 for that. Length of time. So yeah, come on in and check us out if you're looking for something in the Portland area to do, especially around Valentine's Day. So much different reads and things like that. Okay, so Lynn, I'm going to pull a card for you, and I'm just going to do 2 card pulls since we just had all this stuff going on. Lynn, I'm hearing the goddesses are wanting to talk to you. And gosh, that's so weird about the internet connection. And you know what the funny thing is? What we're going to be talking about today kind of feels like one of those things that, oh, I don't know if I want to hear about it. So we'll see. We'll see how this all works out. I'm curious. I'm quite curious. The air in here, the energy in the house is quite blue right now too, I'm noticing. And the other thing I was just saying when I got cut off the first time was that, Andrea, I'm going to put you down for tomorrow if that's all right. Because since with all of this interruption and stuff, I'm also going to have no tracking of time. So if somebody wouldn't mind letting me know when we reach the 11 o'clock mark, I don't mind going a little bit over too if we need to. I don't even know what time it is right now at this moment. But my husband is home right now. He's going to be being picked up by his Lyft service. So you'll hear the doorbell and him coming down and all of that. And then after that, we'll start our meditation part. So Lynn, the goddesses wanted to talk to you. Oh, beautiful. Lakshmi, the goddess of abundance. Isn't that such a beautiful picture? I want you to take a look at, see the lotus blossom coming up out of the water? Her standing on it, embodying it, coming up to the white elephants with the trunks raised. She's holding 2 lotus blossoms in her hands. She's got a crown of gold on her head. Oh, actually, in 2 of her hands, she's holding lotus blossoms. And in the other 2, she's actually offering and receiving blessings, these different hand postures. So one of the things that just pops immediately, and I'll look her up and see what the advice in the book is, because, you know, it always helps. Lakshmi is the goddess of abundance, of wealth, of, you know, it's funny, this actually is right beside my desk, and this is a Lakshmi statue that my parents, parent-in-laws brought me back from India, brought all of us, I should say. They brought us a couple. One of them is a Lakshmi. She used to be in a case and have a lot of bejewelment, but my son was obsessed with her and he couldn't help himself, and he kept bringing them out of the cases, and she's lost some of her adornments, but here's another representation of Lakshmi. I keep her next to my desk because she's just so lovely. I love Lakshmi's energy and her her vibration is beautiful. So here it talks about the Hindu goddess for material and spiritual wealth. Lakshmi flourishes with abundant prana or chi energy. Lakshmi was born from the ocean of milk that the gods and goddesses churned for 1,000 years. She's a beautiful source of strength for the honorable god Vishnu. In Sanskrit, her name is interpreted as goal of life. Lakshmi brings good luck and abundant fortune. Her 2 white elephants symbolize her royal strength. The golden coins cascading from her hands represent energy or currency that flows and manifests spiritual and physical wealth. The lotus flower symbolizes creation and pure birth. Lakshmi offers you eternal abundance of the universe. So one of the thing that's popping up is to read the shadow for you. Mindset of lacking, believing good people must suffer or go without, seeking external wealth for prestige over others, greed, spiritual poverty, blocked prana flow, or negative self-talk. If you're experiencing any of those, any of you, call on Lakshmi. Just invite her to come in and help you find the abundance, help you balance the lack that you're feeling, help you balance the feeling of disempowerment. And call that energy and vibration in. She can really support you in transitioning yourself from a lack-based energy into an abundance-based energy, which, is really difficult for us here in the physical manifestation to truly understand and internalize, because we see that things are finite in the physical world, or we believe that we see that things are finite. We have the concept of it so thoroughly and deeply ingrained. And abundance can be pretty challenging concept for us to truly internalize, because we see that, well, there's only so many tomatoes on that tomato plant. There's only so much that I can pull out of the earth. There's only so much of these things that we can have. So lack is really what we start at, and the goal is to transition into understanding the abundance. Another way you can really bring abundance and that understanding of abundance into your life is to hold that vibration of connecting into source consciousness that we do when we're grounding and connecting in our meditations each day. That source consciousness, as the crow flies by, is abundant energy. That is the root of abundance. That is true, total abundance. Isn't she beautiful, Alex? I just love those cards. I think this is, in case I haven't shown you guys already, this is called Journey to the Goddess Realm, this oracle deck. It's by Lisa Porter. I really enjoy this deck, honestly. I wish they had a God deck, because there's a lot of amazing male God energy, and I do feel like our metaphysical community is a bit skewed towards the divine feminine, and we forget the divine masculine. And right now it is critical for us to also be balancing and working with that divine masculine energy. We have a pretty strong masculine energy that just came into a position of power. So if we want to be able to compete with that, we need to hold both the divine masculine and the divine feminine. I think it's critical at this point. And it illustrates our imbalance in that. One of my favorite things, I know I'm going to stick with a community, metaphysical community, if it has a good balance of masculine and feminine energy going on there. If it doesn't, if it's just a bunch of women, which I love women. I love being around women. I love being in the divine feminine energy. But if it is only women, I tend to feel a bit like something's missing here, because I know I skew towards the divine feminine myself. So I seek that balance by finding other masculine energies to help me bring that masculine energy in. It's kind of been vilified over time, this masculine energy, and I kind of got my foot stuck in a little bit of a sticky pickle last night, because one of my good friends actually was, she was ranting, she was upset, she's frustrated, she's hurt, she's watched her son face a lot of racism, a lot of hardship, just like I have. were quite aware of the true nature of humanity and of the state of affairs in our country. And we see that she has a disability and she's got a mixed race child. And so her post was, that she wished that all the white men would leave the country. And she knew it was irrational, but my question to her was, I couldn't help myself, was, where would they go? Are you sure you want to just like send off what is our problem? Isn't that kind of how we got in this position in the first place? We're exporting our imperialism. So yeah, that put me right in the thick of it, and I had to delete my comment and remember, that's not my place. That's not my place. So Jante, you asked me for a card pull too, and Ganesh wants to talk to you. Oh, this is so fitting for you, Jante, because though yes, I know you're a mature and beautiful and amazing woman who it's such an honor to witness you in your life in whatever little way I get to, or big way, or however it goes. But that childlike expression that you have, oh my gosh, you guys, the first time I connected with Jante into the source consciousness, she just giggled. It was the most adorable thing. I love your childlike energy. And Ganesh has that. He always brings that with him. He has that sense of wonder and play. So he's really beckoning you, and I know that you've been having a little bit of a struggle right now about this, and I'll see if there's anything else that pops for me in the book about to read to you from for this card. And Sue, I'm going to put you down for tomorrow, okay? Because we haven't had anybody requesting card pulls. So I thought, well, maybe I need to just remind you guys that that's something I'm totally happy to do. Door! The door! So, childlike expression. The truth within every soul exists an aspect known as the inner child. This is what the book says. You can champion your inner child's emotional life. Have a wonderful day. Love you. By listening carefully to what you need and want in your own heart. You may have been taught to give up your own desires for the sake of others, which, as women, that's kind of like what we're taught. I mean, boys are given, and I know this because I had a boy, boys are given things to build, things to create with, engineering things to challenge them. And girls are given dolls and make and bake ovens, and dolls that pee, that you have to change their diaper, or cry and you have to comfort. And yeah, some girls are so predisposed to that and just absolutely love that. And that is who they are, and that is what they want. But if they're given Legos, the Lego sets that are custom to girls are Lego friends, right? It's about socializing in community. There's a great book. I don't even think I have it here right now because I loan it out all the time. It's called The Female Brain, and it's written by a neuroscientist who has studied brains and brain development and all of that. Well, the earlier videos that I attempted just got uploaded. So in that, she talks about how in the womb we have, once the hormonal piece kicks in our genetics for our development and growth, the hormones are what determine everything about our physiology. They determine how we feel, how we look, how sexualized we are, how emotional we are, all sorts of things. Everything about kind of our expression is truly controlled by our hormones. That's the root of it. And Stephanie, you know what? I will put you down. I'll just start making a list of you guys. How about that? I try to do about 3 card pulls per show. So, and I nobody was requesting for a while, so it's great that you guys are doing that. And I will get you guys as we go through. So what she talked about was that how when we are developing in the womb, as soon as that piece kicks in and we start to develop, our genitalia, the female genitalia, either continues to develop or it begins to shift and adjust into male genitalia, as well as our brain begins to shift and adjust. The hormones develop different centers of the brain. So in the female brain, it develops the frontal center of the brain, where it's the frontal lobes, which is all about how to connect with each other, our emotions, our connective experiences, how to understand cause and effect, how to read the emotions of other people, how to feel the communal sense. That's what develops in females due to the surge of female hormones that come through. I'm going to spare you guys the names of the hormones. And the male hormones, they develop the cognitive reasoning, the spatial reasoning. They develop the parts of the brain that are around development, building. And so, yeah, we do kind of have predispositions. And it's not to ignore those predispositions that we have, but we can provide a balance for it. And the girls that I know, I mean, I was really fortunate because my brother was older. And we didn't have a lot of money, so he was born first, and we had a ton of Legos, a ton of Lincoln Logs. I didn't really get Barbies till I was older. You know, I didn't really get that many of my own doll kind of toys. My grandmother would make us Cabbage Patch dolls, you know, but that was about it. Like my mom, she used to make us stuffed animals. So I don't know if you guys remember it, but the Wuzzles, that's what I had a lot of. The stuffed animals that were like a bumble lion was my favorite. And they'd roll up into a ball, or those were the Popples. We also did the Popples. So I had a lot of those kind of toys, but I didn't have a lot of the girl toys. So I think that's something else too. I don't know where I was going with that, but that came through about balancing that too with your play energy, bringing that childlike play out, all of that stuff. So today what we're going to talk about is, yesterday we talked about looking at trolls. Oh my God, those trolls were awesome. Do you remember those trolls? And I actually really loved Care Bears and My Little Pony. I remember the My Little Ponies. They were awesome. I still miss my My Little Pony collection. So today what we're going to be talking about is flipping the mirror around. Now, yesterday we were looking at how we can fall in love with the creation, loving the Creator, seeing the Creator in everything that we see, seeing conflict. We've also done, I guess it was now almost 2 weeks ago, we also have done shadow work, looking at the mirror and seeing our own child self that's being returned to us in the mirror for these other people. So we've done a lot of that kind of work and focus already, but what we haven't done much work on is being an allowance of being a mirror for others and recognizing the co-creation that we're within. So I thought that might be what we would talk about today. How does that sound for you guys? I know that for myself, and I was going to tell you guys a little bit about kind of my last year, because it was a struggle. Last year was quite hard for me, a huge challenge, lots of difficult self-work. My shadow work really and truly was going on last year. And I've been working on myself. You know, I have been out of therapy now for about 4 years. I spent a good decade in therapy, in a straight stretch, working with my amazing therapist. And if you're in the Portland area and you're recovering from trauma and you need a good therapist, I have the perfect one for you. If you want a recommendation, she's amazing. She reparented me. And that's something else I want to just throw out there. When we're doing metaphysical work on ourselves, energetic work, that is not a replacement for therapy, for counseling. That's not a replacement for treatment. I'm not one who's going to tell you to not go to the doctor, to not take your medication. It's about balancing all of these things and finding the balance that works for you. It is critical that you make your own choices and decisions about these things. And that's the reason that I teach you guys the compass way back. That's like the first thing I teach anybody I work with, In fact, if you come and sit at my table for a card reading, you'll see multiple decks in front of you. I teach you first grounding and connecting. I teach you then next the compass, and then you choose which deck you're supposed to get your reading from using your compass so that you can know you have this ability. And then you get this reading that's like a bam in your face, and you know, ooh, I did choose the right deck. This was true. And every time you use that compass tool, it gets stronger and stronger. The intention has to be less and less because the focus is already there. It's already been created and allowed. You already have proof of it. Poppies and trolls. I just saw that, Andrea. That's awesome. So we have to recognize how important it is to use your own guidance, because this is your creation. You're the one who's here. You're the one who's doing this. This is your life. I don't live in your life. I don't know what your reality is. And if your belief is the only thing saving me is this heart medication or this pain medication or this anxiety medication or this antidepressant medication, then I'm not going to change that. I'm not going to be able to fix that. I'm not going to shift that. That's your work. That's yours. And it's for you to look at, how did I get to the space where I need it? This, by the way, also reminds me, that's a big part of the second class in our Life Mastery series is called Learning the Biomechanics of Your Machine. And we talk a lot about that in that class. So, but today what we're looking at is how can we also be an allowance to serve? So for me, starting last year, and I kind of touched on this a little bit when I was talking yesterday about how I had this conflict with my good friend and partner, and how I had to realize, oh, he's actually serving me. He's serving me to see me better, to be able to be an allowance of who I am. But there was a lot of people serving me last year also. My husband and I, we're just about to celebrate our 13-year wedding anniversary. And honestly, I thought this was going to be the last year. I didn't think we were going to make it to 13, because over this last year, my husband has been angry with me. He was furious with me, and there was no allowance for me. In the home, there was no allowance. I wasn't allowed to talk. I wasn't allowed to express myself. He was so defensive and reactive whenever I would try to share my opinion or my viewpoint. It had really gotten pretty bad, and we have what you would call that narcissist empath dynamic that you read so much about and hear so much about with people like us as having. And everyone around me, honestly, there were very, very few people who could watch this going on and not tell me to get out, because that's the instinct. When it's discomfort, when it's uncomfortable, when someone is hurting you, our instinct is to get away. Now, because I trust so fully in my guidance and I'm in allowance, even when it leads me into seriously sticky situations that I'm not comfortable being in, I go if it tells me to go there. And always there's a lesson, and sometimes I don't get the lesson right away. So with my husband, every time I'd be like in the depths of despair, we'd have a horrible fight, and I'd feel like, that's it, I'm out, I can't take anymore, I'm done, really. I'd check in with my guidance. Is this the end? Is this time to go? No, not yet. No. And it was so hard to trust that. I'm so grateful for Shauna, because she really kept me sane during that time. Shauna, thank you. Seriously. And then it started to become my friends that were doing it. My friends had no allowance for me. I have two very close friends that I've known since I was in my teens and have been with me on this whole long ride. When I started to awaken, they started awakening too. We started growing, and at first it was like I could talk to them about it. I could share this with them. But then pretty quickly they were shutting me down. They didn't want to hear what I had to say. They were shouting at me. They were telling me what was wrong with me. They were calling me arrogant, egotistical. They told me I was a know-it-all, that I talked too much, that I never allow anyone else to speak, that it's all about me. One of them even said, you never call me to talk about anything but you. It's always all about you. And these things, they hurt me so badly, right? And I felt really, really alone, because here were my three main supports: my husband, my best friend, and my other best friend. And none of them liked me. None of them wanted to hear anything from me. None of them wanted anything from me except to shut up and keep just doing things for them. Just keep supporting them. Keep asking them about their life. Keep asking them what they need from me. Showing up and taking them places. Showing up and supporting them for things. But none of them were asking what I needed, where I was at, what kind of support I needed, how was I doing. And I was getting more and more wounded and more hurt, more and more deeply embedded into my victim space. But what I was also doing was serving as a mirror for them. I was in a state of allowance to be whatever I have to be, to show up however I'm guided to show up, to do whatever it is that's in front of me wholeheartedly. And that meant, Alex, thank you. I love you too. And I did talk to you about some of it. But that meant that I had to be willing to live in that discomfort and let that discomfort pull up in me what it needed to. And I had to learn to not personalize what they were doing, to not personalize it, and to be able to filter what's coming through to me. Recognize the filters that I have. A, the victim filter. Look, they're so mean to me. They don't love me. They don't support me. That was really what was happening as the autopilot. But through that process, at each step of the way, at each conflict that I had with them, I would pause and I'd remove myself and I'd go internal and I'd look for these filters. I'd look for these filters that taught me, you see, you are the victim. You see, they are hurting you. You see, they're not going to hold you sacred. They're not going to hold you with value. They're not going to love you. They're not going to support you. They don't care, right? It reinforced those filters. So when I paused and removed myself from the situation and tried to look at, just like we did with the shadow work that we did 2 weeks ago, tried to find my little girl. I tried to find the little girl pieces, the parts of myself that have been living outside of me since I was little. And I was a victim. I was wounded. I was not held as sacred. I was not valued. My grandfather used to call me motor mouth, right? She was still wounded, motor mouth. She was still waiting for somebody to actually say, no, you don't talk too much. We actually love what you have to say. And so as soon as I found her and brought her back in, brought her into my heart, and fell in love with the fact that that girl could talk for hours and no one would get bored. They would, but some who want to be the talkers and don't have anything interesting to say might get jealous, and they might hurt her because they want to be the ones talking. She's not talking because she wants attention. She's not talking because she wants everyone to go, oh, she's so amazing. She has so much to say, which is what they were accusing her of and shaming and belittling her with. She was talking because she's like, oh my God, did you know this? Is this not amazing? Like, I just found out this, and I found out this, and I found out this, and then there's this, and then there's that, and what do you think about that? And did you know about this? And that's what she was doing. She's a sharer of information. Thanks, Andrea. I think you're amazing too. I'm so grateful for you in my life. So she was doing this because she wanted to share. They weren't seeing her desire to share knowledge and information. They were seeing their own lack. They were seeing their own lack of information to share, their own lack of people wanting to listen. And they had to shut her down for that. They were seeing their own inability to step forward and share what they were learning because of their own insecurities, their fear of what other people would be saying. For me personally, I entertain everything. I'm kind of one of those people, I'm like, it's all true from some perspective, on some planet, in some way. It's all real. It's all true. It's all possible. Let's entertain the possibilities. Let's hold the possibilities and play with them. I get excited by that. Well, that's going to make some people really uncomfortable, especially people who don't let themselves play with the possibilities they see before them. So as I had these friends and family saying to me all this negativity, at first, my instinct was to feed the victim filter, because the victim filter is the fun. That's like our default programming, the default programming mechanism that's at play that we're breaking. So when I remember this specifically, I had a conflict with my best friend, and it was a journey I was on with her. And right before we went on this journey, it was supposed to be a celebration. Her graduation was supposed to be so exciting, so awesome. And I feel free talking about this because I know she'll never watch this. She doesn't watch anything I do. So it's supposed to be a celebration. It's supposed to be this amazing experience, this awesome thing she's worked so hard for. I'd been with her for 20 years working towards her degree on and off and developing herself, and it was supposed to be this amazing thing. And right before we go, literally, right before we leave for our journey, she finds out that her therapist, who is doing that deep work with her, who is taking it deep with her, who was really helping her so much and becoming her new parent, right? Because that's what happens when you find a good counselor, a really good therapist. And he died unexpectedly of a heart attack. And she had already dealt with so much death in her life. One of the reasons that she was in there was her sister had just been murdered a few years before. And a few years before that, her father had died of brain cancer. So it was like one death after another. She had already had so much. And it's one of the reasons I have so much allowance for her and whatever it is that she's going through. And because I absolutely love and adore her. She's been in my life for so long. And she's a critical part of my support system, or was for a long time before her world kind of fell apart. And I'm an allowance for that. So I knew going on that journey, oh, this is going to be rough. This is not going to be easy. And I had to make this commitment to myself that no matter what, I'm an allowance. And I'm going to show up in this space with love for her, with allowance for her. And when she is acting out in such a way, I'm going to try to see the little girl in her. And I'm not going to talk about it because she doesn't want to hear it. She does not want to hear that from me. But what I did end up doing was kind of just chatting, kind of chattering, filling the space, because she gets quiet and withdraws when she doesn't have much, when she's depressed or not having much to say. And so this kind of continued for a while. And then all of a sudden we get back to her home, into her own space, and she's furious at me and screaming at me and in my face about stuff. And I'm kind of just like, whoa. And it was because I'd made a comment that that in her mind discounted what her own personal experience was. And for once she felt she had the authority to speak over me on this because of her own work experience and education experience. So she took that authority and used it like a blunt object to beat me into submission. And afterward, I walked away going, what the hell just happened? Is this real? Is what she's telling me real? Okay, what are my tools? What do I know? Okay, what do I know? I know that I love her. I know that I love me. I know that I love our relationship. And I'm going to need to use my compass, because beyond that, I don't know. I don't know if she's right. Am I talking too much? Am I overshadowing her? Am I full of shit? Am I these things? I really had to stop and allow the possibility that what she was telling me might be true. And if it were true, could I still love me? And after I went through that process of my self-work, yeah, I can. I actually love that little motor mouth girl. She's so freaking adorable. I love the joy and wonder she brings to everything that she talks about and everything that she discovers. And I would love for her to feel like she's inside of me, not rejected on the outside. So I'm all done letting people abuse her. I'm all done letting people tell her that she's naughty for talking a lot. And I let her come inside. That's the self-work that we first have to do. I also took that little girl who was told once by her dad that she should shut up because she doesn't know what she's talking about, and she should figure out what she's going to be talking about and know the truth and all the facts before she opens her mouth, right? That little girl needed to be let inside too, because I love that she's willing to entertain an idea before she knows everything about it. How else will she learn about it unless she shares it with others who may know more? And I love that she's an allowance to be told, no, that's not quite how I see it. This is how I see it. I love that she has the ability to pause on her own opinion and entertain another's for a time in order to see more perspectives. I found the love for her and let her inside. And I kept doing this until there was just nothing left. And there were no more tears. And when I went through what she was talking about and the whole conversation and the whole argument and the whole everything, there were no more tears left. There was no more trigger spots left. I'd found the little girls in that situation, the parts of myself that I once had thought were so naughty that they made people reject me, that they made people not love me. I kept going until I found them all and brought them inside. When I found a state of neutrality about the disagreement, the discussion, I went back inside. And I found she had calmed down. You know, she'd done her own work. And we sat down and we started to talk. And I let her know how I felt. I let her know where I was at. I also let her know that I saw that she felt disrespected, that she felt unvalued, that she didn't feel that she had as much space in our relationship as I took up. I also let her know that I felt for a long time she hadn't taken up much space in the relationship. There was a void from when she had disappeared through these various traumas, and that I missed her, and that my speaking and talking was to try to pull her back out of that void. And that now that she wanted to have a space in that relationship again and wanted to have that voice, I wanted her to have it. And that I would do everything I could to stop the habit of talking and filling the void, to create space for her. But that I did not appreciate the way that she did it. I didn't feel comfortable with the way that she spoke to me, and that I don't want to be spoken to that way moving forward. That's the work we do with the other. We see the truth of where they're at. What are they seeking? Not the behavior that they did, because the behavior is the autopilot mechanism. Just like my victim filter is the mechanism, so too is the attack filter, right? It's a mechanism designed to save us and help us and make us feel better, make us feel valid, create space for ourselves. Essentially, all of these mechanisms are designed to create space for ourselves, to push away that which we feel is imposing upon us, and to give us room. And usually, because these mechanisms are formed when we're children, and the only way to get room is usually to act out and be naughty, and then get a consequence that puts us into a timeout, or into our room, or into a space of our own. So they kind of learn, oh, I need alone time? Well, they're going to make me do all this stuff until I just throw a fit. So these are all behavioral patterns that we have to shuck off, and that we're learning to release as we bring back in these parts of ourselves. Now, my relationship with her has evolved and has shifted, and it certainly isn't what it was before we had all of these conflicts come up. But I'm an allowance for whatever it needs to be. With my husband, it's been a complete turnaround. I even can tell you the moment that it happened. We're sitting in his therapist's office. His therapist is like, you both are combative, where I wanted to believe that he was combative. You both are combative. You know, there's no point in marriage counseling here. You guys should just separate because this is done. You're killing each other with your fighting. You're killing each other. Not he's killing me. You're killing each other. And I couldn't see that. And I had to pause and go, oh, wait a minute. Okay, wait a minute. This is me too. This is also me. This is my part too. And I still love me. I love me enough that I will not stay in this environment if I'm not loved and valued as much as I love and value myself. And before that was also true. It's just I didn't love and value myself very much. So neither did he. I mean, he did, but he couldn't get to that feeling. And that's the challenge that we're facing right now as a collective. Can I love even the parts of you that I cannot stand? First, can I love the parts of me that I cannot stand? Can't even have the conversation about them until you have that one first. That's where we have to start, the loving of the me. So now, with my husband, I don't need him to prove my victim filter true anymore because I kind of let it go. My victim girls, I found them. They're with me. That's not to say that there might not be still others, because there's always layers. That's not to say that they may not still have things or beliefs that they're holding in some way that I'm yet to learn. So I may again get triggered and need somebody to teach me or show me my victimhood again, to find those pieces, to find those places. But now I have the ability, when I'm in the engagement of the co-creation with another and their victim filter is at play, that I can maintain neutrality. My victim filter isn't needing to be triggered. I'm getting this interesting ache and pain right here. It's really hurting. Yes, you do, Elaine, have to love yourself first. And that's the hardest thing, truly. It really is. It's so challenging to figure out how to love ourselves because we don't have a lot of examples of that in our culture. We aren't really taught that. We're taught how to take care of others, how to provide for others, how to hold space for others. That's what we're taught. So today's meditation is going to be how to see ourselves as service for others and how to flip that mirror around, recognizing when we're releasing ourselves from the mirror and serving as a mirror for another person. Really kind of understanding that interplay of this co-creation, because it's always an interplay. You are the creator being and you have created this, including me coming here and telling you this now, but they are creator beings and they have created their creation as well. And they have created you to come to them to serve as their mirror for them. And sometimes that's uncomfortable. So that's what we're going to play with today. That's what we're going to look at. I don't exactly know how this meditation is going to go. Exactly. How can you really love somebody else? And I do think that we can love others, actually. I do think we can love others, but what we're really loving in them are the parts that we recognize of ourselves that they hold, that we don't let come inside. For me, I remember I used to actually tell people all the time, this was like, I would meet somebody new and I'd tell one of my good old friends, oh my God, you've got to meet this person. You're going to love them. They're just like me. If you like me, you'll like them. And they would meet him and they're like, Jessie, that person is like nothing like you. And I'm sorry, but I can't stand them. And I'd walk away and I'd feel like, oh my God, that means that they're rejecting me. They don't like me. They don't like who I am. I love this person because of all the ways they are like me. Or because of all the ways that they're not like me, that they have that I can't possibly do, that I want to be like. You see? I didn't until recently. And now I don't even feel the impulse to say that anymore when I meet somebody. I don't want to say they're like me. They're not. They're them. They're like them. You're going to love them. They're like them. They're amazing. Check out how they are. Because I don't need them to reflect all of that to me anymore. I don't need that anymore. I don't need to see parts of myself outside of myself all the time. And like that, that's another piece I want to share. Because of that, because I don't need so many people to show me my mirror, my social circle is very small right now. my actual intimate social circle of friends that I trust and I speak with regularly, I go to for my compassion, for play, for that shared space. It's a very, very small circle because I don't need that many people coming to me. If you find yourself surrounded by a ton of superficial relationships, you've put yourself in a house of mirrors, and it's time to stop and look at the mirrors. If you are isolated, then perhaps you've rejected yourself down to no mirrors left. Yeah, mirrors are important. They teach us so much that we can't let ourselves see. So let's go ahead and start getting comfortable. I'm going to take a sip of my smiling coffee for a moment. And I'm going to pull my blanket up because it's just chilly in this little corner. All right, let's go ahead and take a moment. Go ahead and start to feel making connections to your past. Yeah. Let's see, making connections of my past. You know, that's also something I'll bring up. I'm glad that you said that, Sue, before I move into the meditation space, because as I've been doing this process, I would say I've really been doing this awakening process for the last 3 years of really working to take all of this stuff in, understand how the creation is serving me, understand what my role is, understand who I am, all of these pieces. One of the things that's happened is every ex-lover, every never been lover but wished they were lover that I have had in my past has resurfaced over these last 3 years. And they all came to me to share with me what their view of our experience was. One of them was a person that I knew when I was just very, very young. I loved and adored him. I actually, for a long time, thought, oh, this is my life partner. But then life changed. We moved away from each other. We were still children. I moved. His life went one way. My life went another way. And it was a long time between. And he suddenly popped up. I learned a lot in exchange with him, because as a young person, I felt like, I feel all these big feelings for him, and he's just my friend. He just wants to be friends with me. He doesn't feel any of those big feelings back. And it taught me to not trust those big feelings, to not trust them, to not trust the call of strong emotional connections. And I got myself in a lot of sticky wickets because of that. And he came back to right that, to tell me the truth of that. No, you just scared me. You were too big. You were too much. You were too great. I had nothing to offer. I felt like I had nothing to offer, which is what I felt like. I felt like I didn't have enough to offer. He was so amazing, so big, so awesome. You know, so we have that happen a lot, but we never get the gift of the other person becoming vulnerable and sharing with us the truth. So I was given that gift over and over and over during this time when I was having my close friends and family at this point telling me how bad I was. I was having these people come and say, yeah, I was telling you that then, but it's just because I felt so much lack. And that too is what saved me, really, is what gave me that lifeline to say, when people are behaving towards me, they're speaking for themselves. They're looking at their own mirror. I have to let them go and look at their own, let myself let go of my personalization and be the mirror. And I have to look at my own reflection in that mirror now. So if I'm releasing myself from feeling like I'm personalizing their stuff, then I have to take on my own mirror. That's all there is left in the exchange is myself. So I've got to look at the self. And what am I believing about myself as a result of this exchange? What am I thinking is true about myself as a result of what's going on in this interaction? Okay, so So if you are having people from the past and you're trying to understand the connections of the past and the history that you have with people, then perhaps they're coming to help you rewrite what you once told yourself to be true about that relationship or interaction. That's what pops for me on that, Sue. Okay, we're going to go ahead and jump into the meditation time now. I want you to make sure you're sitting comfortably. Make sure your body is comfortable. If you need to adjust anything or stretch or flex, I'm like popping like crazy. Take a sip. Make sure your feet are firmly on the floor. We're going to be grounding and connecting deeply while we do this one. My blankie. It's a Spider-Man blankie. It's so warm and fuzzy. We have our superheroes on. We'll call that energy in too. Go ahead and start to bring your attention into the body. We're going to go ahead and do that with the breath. Breathing in this present moment awareness. And exhaling. Breathing in. And exhaling. I want you to put your hand on your diaphragm this time when you breathe in. Feeling that you're breathing from this low space in the belly and exhaling. Breathing in this present moment in awareness, feeling that air come all the way in through the body. And as you exhale, go ahead and unhook yourself from the rest of today. Everything you have going on after you get done with this. Just unhook and pull those lines in for now. Good. If you need a couple of breaths to do so, take your time. Breathing in the present moment. Trying to breathe all the way down into your root. And exhaling, unhooking yourself from everything that's already happened today and yesterday. Just unhooking. Breathing in, all the way into the root. And exhaling, unhook yourself from these expectations that you hold about yourself. Breathing in, present moment, present awareness. Coming all the way into the root. And exhaling through the crown, opening up that crown space. Continue your breathing as you bring your attention to the soles of your feet. Remember, we're going to be doing that circle breathing where as soon as you get to the bottom of the breath, you're slowly coming back up into the breath, just keeping the breath moving. Feel those roots growing from the soles of your feet, reaching down and wide. Breathing and releasing. More release work. Good job, guys. Very good. Let those roots reach deeper and wider as you begin to see the tree forming around you that's there supporting you, that tree of knowledge all around you. We are the tree. We are the knowledge. Feeling those roots. Recognizing our root structure, it mimics, it mirrors our branches above. Letting those roots grow, sending more roots, letting them reach more wide and deep until they're touching each other. Let's all touch our roots. We have people listening from all around the world, just a handful of us in each little place. Let's reach and feel each other with our roots. Feel how that vibration is already up in the legs, rising up through the body with intention and focus and allowance, bringing the energy up through the legs, through that seat and root base, our root chakra, bringing it up through the vessel. We're bringing it through that trunk, through our sacral, through our solar plex, bringing it up through that heart space that holds so much for us. Hi, Siska. Up through our high heart, allowing that energy to go down the arms, an extension of our hearts, and come out through the palms as we send the love, the Gaia's energy out into the creation. Bringing it up through the throat and neck, through our truth center, through our throat chakra. Up through the head. Interestingly, our ears are part of this throat chakra too. Bring it up through the head, through that pineal gland, through that head space, into the crown, and allow that crown to open even more. If you need support in this, remember you can open a lotus blossom in the crown to open it even more. Feel that foliage opening up in your tree as your tree reaches out for the light, finding the light wherever it is, not asking the light to come, just reaching gracefully without complaint. Hello, crow. Until it finds light, and then it holds the light, bringing that light in, bringing it in, reaching up, allowing yourself effortlessly and gracefully to connect into that infinite creation consciousness, source consciousness, God, Allah, whatever you call it, the Buddhahood, Bodhisattva, whatever you call it, connecting in. Good. Let's just stay up there for a moment, remembering Lakshmi's message to bring in the abundance, and let's feel the true abundance of this energy. Try to stretch your consciousness out and see if you can find a limit to it up there. Just reach. Can you? Let's allow that source energy to come back in through our connection, through our crown, into our foliage, shining so warmly, so brightly with that Well, I see it as liquid gold, opalescent energy, but whatever energy you're seeing come to you is perfectly what you need. Bringing that down through the crown, through the sixth chakra, through our fifth, down through that high heart and out through our arms, through our foliage. See the popping, adjusting. I believe in movement during your meditation, so if you feel the need to move, do so as this energy comes down and through. It's releasing blocks and things that have held things locked into place. Letting ourselves be fluid and move. Release the expectation you have of what meditation is. Bringing that energy down through the heart. If you're starting to feel like it's slowing or there's not enough, remember it's infinite abundance. There's always more. And recognize the lack belief and tell yourself, I deserve enough. I have plenty. Bringing more down through the vessel, down through that third chakra. A lot of us are struggling like we're struggling with feeling disempowered right now. We're feeling inflated in our ego, inflated in our power. These things are not quite balanced right now in many of us. Bringing that energy down through the sacral, down through the root, down through the legs, down through our roots all the way into the earth. Allowing yourself to serve as that conduit for Gaia and Source. Using your compass to let you know when you are fully in alignment. So today I would like you to call up the mirror. This mirror that we've been looking at, that we've been using. Call up this mirror in front of you in allowance. Now I want you to ask the mirror to show you someone that we're ready to work on today who has held you as the blame, right? Who's been pointing at you, who you are holding the mirror for. And see them in the reflection. Allow the reflection, just like it's, the two-way kind of a mirror, one of those mirrors where you see the reflection, but you also see what's behind it. Allow that reflection to show you all the ways you have been serving as their mirror. All the things that they have expected from you, all the things they've accused you of, judged you for, yelled at you, pointed out a problem of yours. All of their projections, just let them flip through. Show them to you. For some of you, this may look like a visual. For some of you, it may just be a feeling. For some of you, it may be auditory. Some of you may have scent associated with this. Just allowing. Taking note of reactions within the body, within your energy, within your emotional state that are pulling you out of alignment with that optimum frequency which we just were in. Just observe these things. And as you find them, hold the opposite. You talk too much. You don't talk enough. You're so judgmental. You don't judge enough. Naive. Bringing yourself back into balance as you allow it to be true and bring in the opposite. Just like we did yesterday. Because we first must work on the self. Allowing what they say to be true and the opposite also to be true. Coming in to wholeness of vibration. Until you feel that neutrality, when you see that play out of the various judgments and blames, conflicts and experiences that you've had with them. Ooh, that was a big release somebody had. For some of you, you may need to actually see the little boy or the little girl that those people have with them in the mirror. That is the piece of yourself that you have completely rejected, that you have judged, that you have externalized. Do you let yourself be angry? Does the angry boy have to be on the outside, angry at you? As the crow flies away. Let those little pieces of ourselves, those parts of ourselves, those children, those full childlike identity states or fractured states, however you want to put that, let them come back out of the mirror. Call them back to you. Show them that you are ready to hold them inside, whatever it is that they do. That you're actually grateful for it. Bringing that to the internal. Open up that heart space, just like a great big barn door, and let them all come inside. As you feel so grateful for these little pieces, these big pieces. Bring it all the way in. Continue this process until all you see in that mirror is just the other. The person that we originally called into focus. And their projections. And observe the projections now from your neutral state. I want you to notice how now, on your side of the mirror, these little boys and little girls of that other person are starting to show up. They're kind of looking at you like, I don't get to go back in there. See the children, see the states, see the fractures of the other, and the desire of those parts to return and reunite with the whole. Let's open up our arms and welcome those fractured states to our love, because that's why they've come to us. They're just needing some love. And let's just love these little pieces of them that they can't love. Let's look at those pieces for what their true value is, and show them how much we love, respect, and adore that value. How grateful we are. How we understand their true desire to be seen, to be loved, to be accepted, to be allowed back inside. Now you can choose to not hold these pieces for that person in your mirror and leave them there and walk away, choosing to not be the mirror for them, to not be the one holding parts for them that they cannot hold. Or you can choose to take up that challenge and hold those little pieces with love, with understanding, and with allowance. The choice is yours. Feel the difference in your solar plex as you make that conscious decision. Yeah, exactly. I know that my heart is big enough to hold all the little pieces that come to me, as well as my own, because they are my own. I now am looking at that mirror and seeing that other as myself, as the creator they came here to be, lost and confused. And let's just send that love, just like a light ray radiating out of our chest, out to the mirror as we love the reflection, as it passes through the mirror to the other. And we love them too. As we see the parts of them they're missing and we love them. And just like we're making a sculpture, we're just returning these pieces back, loving and allowing, returning those pieces, because truly they are our creation. As you come into wholeness, into balance, into centered state with this turmoil, this conflicted relationship, as you become grateful for it, pause and look at the mirror again and ask to be shown another time when they're going to challenge us, wound us, hurt us. See another time where this may happen moving forward in allowance, feeling that balanced state, and ask, are there any more triggers, pieces, unseen aspects of them or ourselves that have to be loved in this? And look for them in the mirror, beside the mirror, behind the mirror, in front of the mirror. This is that subconscious realm. And repeat the process. Open the heart as you look at them with love, gratitude, and acceptance, giving them the love that the other cannot at this time, but that you have in infinite abundance. Until they feel they've reached that neutral state. And then allow and place them back within the whole of the other, loved and accepted. And know that as you move forward in this relationship with the other, at times you are only going to be seeing these pieces, and at times they're going to be projected out to you. And that is the opportunity to love them, an allowance, to see the void, the lack that they are struggling with, as well as the lack that you are struggling with. Begin with the self, go to the external, the other, bring back to the self, take the love back to the external. Love in the self, then love to the external. Continue this process until you feel that you have reached divine neutrality. I love you, and I'll see you tomorrow.